just a shock and capture of being in a different zone, a different kind of threat, a real threat. You do a lot of training, and most of the time the bullets aren't coming back. And when the bullets start coming your way, you think, wow, we're in a different world here. This is people's lives where, we're not playing with, but friends and comrades left and right we're all in danger, and you just want to make sure, as a commander on the ground, that you are making the right decision, because they've got families at home, and if you make the wrong decision, then there's consequences. And I know it's our job, that's what we're there to do the right job, do the right thing, but as a commander there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders to make sure that your friends, colleagues, comrades are going home at the end of 6 months. So that's when, it gets serious.
And it's complicated, isn't it? Because you also had to form relationships with Afghans, not knowing who was, I don't want to use the word on your side, but who wasn't a threat to you personally and for your colleagues. How did you negotiate your way around this?
I think from, forming relationships with Afghan people, the interpreters that we had embedded in our units, our platoons, there was always a side of you that aired caution, because,
Why?
I think an instinct, a protective instinct that you'd gathered during your training, that there's such called an insider threat, and that was taught to you that yes, you can trust and bond with them, and they're going to help you, and you want to help them at the same time. But there's always that, you switch off for 1 second and you bring them in a little too close, on a professional level, not a personal level, then the insider threat is real, and you have to be wary of that. So we always had a kind of someone, whether we're meeting and chatting just like this, and we had our interpreter there would always be someone, one of our guys or girls, just stood, at the back, just watching, just making sure that no untoward was to happen, and there wasn't that insider threat. And if there was an insider threat, because it's actually happened in Afghanistan, enough times actually, that it wasn't going to happen, on your watch. So as much as I trusted my interpreter, and I bonded with my interpreter, and I got to know about his family, where he lived, where he'd come from, what he likes to do, and we ate food together, ate bread together, walked on patrols together, spoke together, every day. There's always that 0.01% that you think, the just in case, the what ifs. But from an outside perspective, when we're driving through villages or patrolling through villages, personally, I never trusted anyone. Not because I didn't want to trust anyone, I wanted to trust everyone. I'd love to go and shake hands with everyone, but the threat was so real, and the dangers were so, so high, and the threat was so high at the time, whether it be suicide threat or just a gunman, because you get the intelligence through of what areas you can or are higher threats to you than others, and you your posture reacts to the threat within villages or towns or whatever it may be. So but on the outside you'd still smile. If your posture was high, you'd still smile and you'd try and wave. But in your mind as a commander and as a soldier, you are always ready for the next corner, for the guy on the mobile phone or the child on the mobile phone, whatever it may be. And you've got to be prepared to do what you've been taught to do, and that's your job, and that comes from the training and then the intelligence report you get before you go out into the world of Afghanistan, villages, towns and streets.
I've got two questions here,
Yeah.
talking about that. And my first is, relationships are built on trust.
Mm-hmm.
We all like to think. And being in that dangerous environment, not trusting anyone and going about your life and your job. And you've mentioned the fact that some interpreters did turn on the people that they were working for. How did that make you feel? And did you know people personally who'd experienced this?
Not